Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. I'm Miss Charlotte, a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures, and very often they are celebrities, and I've done quite a few royals recently, but today I will be examining the astrological chart of someone who I guess is a celebrity in his own right, but I would call him a celebrity within the celebrity circle. Meryl Streep referred to him as God in a thank you speech at the Golden Globes. I remember that. And it's Harvey Weinstein. So I wouldn't really call him a celebrity. He's someone that made celebrities. He made those shooting stars. And that's probably why Meryl Streep referred to him as God, because he was in that town. A few people have requested this video and I'm going to be doing Epstein. I will be doing Maxwell as well. So we're just going to look at all these awful human beings and try to understand them. The reason why we do this, guys, is to learn about ourselves and to learn about other people, even though these people might be psychotic or evil. Because when you understand someone or something, you're not as scared of it. And I mean, if you're whatever religion you're in, I'm sure they teach forgiveness and compassion. Not that I'm saying we should forgive this dude, but having some kind of return of humanity to them, I think, is good for us. I mean, he doesn't give a shit, but it's good for us to care about the humanity of a person, because he's still a person. Horrible person, but he's still a person, and that's why we're here. Okay? So if I sound like I'm being compassionate in regards to my description of him, or when I talk about certain things, it's because I'm just looking at the complexity of who he is. And none of it is to condone or to justify his evil behavior. So I'm going to put that out now. If I say anything that is remotely compassionate towards him, I'm not using it to justify his crimes. He's a sick, disgusting man, and I hope he rots in prison for the rest of his life. Okay? Before I dive into it, just want you guys to know I do 60-minute recorded readings, and they are recorded. They are live, and they are recorded, so you don't have to bring a pen and pad. I record literally. The reason why I do that is because people get really anxious in readings, and then they'll forget everything I say. And I'd rather you remember, so you have a quality time. I record my 60-second Zoom sessions, and they're yours to keep forever. Okay. But if you want something that's a bit more in your budget, or you can't meet up for me, my timetable isn't good, you can get a 20-minute MP3 recorded reading, and we just email it to you within 24 hours of the specified time and date that you order, because you have to book it on my timetable, but we don't have to meet up. Anyway, everything is linked below. If you enjoy these readings and you love for me to tear up your chart, please book, because that's the best way to support me, because this is my full-time gig. And if you can't do that, please subscribe, comment, because that's going to feed the algorithm. And I would really love to make real money from YouTube. I would love to just be a full-time creator. Every little like, every little comment helps. Okay. Let's have a look at Harvey Weinstein's chart. Oh, my Scorpio. Don't you hate it when you have to share a placement with a shitty human being? Let's talk about it. Scorpio rising. I think he's definitely bullied at school. But it's the pain that made him really good at reading people. Even the way the women, when some of his victims would describe him, he's very intuitive. He's very tapped in. He sees people very, very clearly. He doesn't see himself very clearly, but he sees other people very clearly. That's the problem with Scorpio risings, and I'm one of them. They see other people very clearly, cannot see themselves. He's got his moon and his Mars in a conjunction with his ascendant. That's a very self-concerned person. I don't want to chat crap about first houses or first quadrant people. If your placements fall into the first or second or third quadrant, you are very concerned with yourself, because those are the 3 houses of the self. So I'm not saying that you're selfish or you're awful people, but you have real potential to be. Really. The moon on the ascendant can make someone, they pin their heart to their sleeve. They're very like vulnerable with people. And I think that makes a lot of sense because he was very charming and and could be very, very kind, especially if he wanted something. And the way he would talk about art and film, like the way he would talk to young actresses who were true artists, that's how he would get them. He would intellectually and emotionally connect to them, like quite easily. It's how he could get them into his hotel rooms a lot of the time. But the Mars in the first house, and Mars and Scorpio on the ascendant, like, oh, that's just highly emotional placements. Both of these placements are just erupting with anger. And the fact that it's so well aspected. Look at the two blue lines, or there's like four really, but look at the blue lines that are shooting out. Look at these trines. He gets away with it. Like eventually with the square with the midheaven, eventually that very poor, shitty, emotional behavior would lead to his disgrace. But look at it. It joins up with Uranus, building his network, playing out in that ninth house of travel and foreign affairs. Like, this guy knew how to schmooze and being forceful. As a man, being forceful. If this was a woman, it would play out differently because women with these placements who are forceful and aggressive, they get treated differently. A man with these placements, he's a leader. He's a warrior. He can take risks. We trust him. It trines his sun as well. Sun in Pisces. All my followers on Instagram, like, please don't hurt us. We know you don't like Pisces. I'm like, it's not that I don't like you. It's that I acknowledge you for all your power and you don't like that. Because it means I have to hold you accountable for being crazy and being manipulative. When you are, at times when you are. I'm not saying all of you all the time are doing this. I'm saying you're very, very capable of doing shitty things because you are so powerful. Literally, Pisces is the sign of God and nightmares and fantasy. So don't get upset with me when I talk about how powerful you are. Because then you just get upset if I talk about how weak you are. It's because I'm dealing with a lot of Pisces. Love you. You're my fourth house. You're my family. You see how I'm calling you out like I'm a big sister? But the fact that his moon and Mars in Scorpio in this first house is very aggressive. It's very emotional, but also there's that warmth. Like he knew how to make you feel loved because of that moon. That helps him build of foreign business and connect with people from all over the world, from all walks of life. And Uranus is an intellectual planet too. So the emotional intelligence, when he had it, mixed with this intellectual networking planet, brilliant. Moon and Mars trining that sun in the fifth house. What an artiste, a visionary. Sun in the fifth house is also someone who could be. I have a sun in the fifth house. Why am I? I'm sharing all these placements with this terrible man. I'm just looking at myself, aren't I? Yes, you are, Charlotte. You have to be forced to look at yourself. I'm gonna tell on myself here too. This is someone who loves a party, especially if the party's all about him. Because even though he's a Pisces, he's a very Leo Pisces. He's a fifth house Pisces sun. He loves to drink. He loves the hedonism. He loves it. And the fact that his sun is not badly aspected at all. It's near his part of fortune, being this big body, even if he's not the most handsome guy. He's got charisma. When he wants to be charismatic, he can be. Part of fortune is where you're lucky, where you make money. What's the thing that gives you your stardom and your success? That's just being himself, and being himself in a boardroom of people, this big dude who's aggressive, like that. Remember the trine on the ascendant? Like, people are going to follow orders. People are like, he's a good salesman. Really knows how to sell an idea. Pallas Athena's here. He's really good at selling himself. His artistic visions, he could just sell them. This man's brilliant. He's a brilliant person, really. The North Node at 0 degrees is, so I know it's not in a conjunction with his sun or his part of fortune or his It's technically in a conjunction with Pallas Athena. His destiny was to achieve his creative genius. It's also a very arrogant placement if your North Node's in the same sign as your Sun. And I said this earlier. You check yourselves because you're arrogant and nothing's gonna get in your way, and you're brutal. That's at your worst, right? North Node with Sun people, they can be very, very self-concerned, as are first house people. So this guy is very self-serving, all about me. I'm the main character. I made your career, Gwyneth. That's the North Node is in a conjunction with this Venus in Aquarius. Oh, he doesn't like that. He can't. He could never just have one woman, even though he got married and he had kids. He could never. And I'm not saying a Venus in Aquarius can't stay faithful. If they can stay faithful in a chaotic relationship, though, they really can. They love that shit. If you are an Aquarius Venus and you are faithful, it's because you know how to ride the high because you love it. You're not bored. You'll stay there. You'll stay faithful with that person. But if it gets bored, it will stray. If it feels like a prison, it will stray. And he did. It's usually a Venus in Aquarius is not a very marrying Venus, and if it is, it will stray. Again, I'm not saying that for every single person, okay? Don't come for me. But the North Node in a conjunction with Venus is about love. But it's in the 4th house and it's leaving the 10th house, so this is like disgrace. We'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens when his nodal return comes round. That's going to happen next year. We'll see what happens. Because these are pretty extreme. If anyone knows about degrees and degree theory and all of that, can you put in the comments how you interpret that? Because this is an outer sign conjunction with Venus in the North Node. And generally when I read a placement like this, I'm like, oh, your destiny is to learn to love and to find love. And it's very like mushy, you know, like. And in the 4th house, it's like retirement. So that makes a lot of sense. He is retired now, forced to. But these are in some, and he's got 18 degrees part of fortune. That's sick. It's very hedonistic. He ate him. He's not dead, but like he could eat himself to death if he's not careful. But yeah, these are some malefic numbers here. The 0 and the 29. If you have an interpretation, please put it below. But the South Node is up here, and I know we can't see it, but the South Node is in the 10th house with the Pluto, all-powerful, almost godlike energy in his industry. Pluto on the midheaven, and Pluto does rule his chart. Mars rules his chart too, but there's 2 chart rulers. For him, with his chart ruler on his midheaven, his career is very tied up with his identity. To understand who you are and how your identity plays out, look at where your chart ruler is. So for this man, Harvey Weinstein, with his chart ruler in Leo on his midheaven, and Leo is, by the way, Leo is stardom and the stage and arts and things like that, performing, right? And I know he wasn't an actor, but he created films with actors. His work, his artistic endeavors, his business, that was him. That's who he was. At least that's what his identity was tied up in. And the fact that his 2 chart rulers, Pluto and Mars, are squaring off like this, Mars is anger, Mars is the penis, right? Mars is the phallus. It's your sexual nature and your anger and all of that masculine energy. Because it's squared his midheaven and Pluto, what's the thing that gets him in trouble? And the square is an argument. A square is a challenge. A square to your midheaven is something that could potentially disgrace you. A personal planet that is squaring your midheaven, that's the quality that's going to get you in trouble. Are you a loudmouth? Is your Mercury squared to your midheaven? Are you a loudmouth that gives your opinion when it's not wanted? That's what's going to cause you disgrace. Are you someone that gets angry with the office and pinches bottoms and sexually harasses people? That's going to get you in trouble. Boom. So there we go. That's why he got in trouble and that's why he got fired. Look at that shit. Look at this as well. Neptune in the 12th house. Some secrets. Oh, secret behavior. I think he's quite intuitive though. I think he has some kind of, he's a creative, so he's got some kind of psychic gifts. And having psychic, intuitive, creative gifts does not automatically make you a nice person or a good person. You can be intuitive and use it for evil. You can have he's a debaucherous person. By the way, does anyone know where his daddy is? Because Saturn is not well aspected to anything. Does anyone know what his relationship to his father was? Because that Pluto is in retrograde, not fun. And then it is playing out because the 12th house cusp lies in Libra. That's almost a 12th house Saturn. That's a 12th house Saturn. By the way, sometimes I'm looking back at my videos. Sometimes I've misspoken and called planet by the wrong name. So forgive me if I said that. I'm like, did I call that Saturn or did I call that Neptune? This is Saturn. This is Neptune. Saturn playing out in the 12th house is a daddy that is missing, and also difficulty with structures. Like he has a lack of structure, which, I mean, considering, look all these red lines, these oppositions to his 6th house. This man is a glutton. This man eats a lot. He drinks a lot. He's just, and Jupiter in the 6th house, and I have that one. There's someone that can gain weight very easily who has a large appetite. Jupiter with Mercury, I feel like he's someone who's very in his head a lot, and so he eats a lot. And you know, when you're studying and you're writing, you know, people that write and are like, they're just, they have to create things with their mind, but they keep feeding themselves. I feel like that is him. And he's a very determined mind. Mercury in Aries is where he's most competitive, is in the intellectual, creative endeavors with his work, with that Jupiter. So, but that's the reason why he is so fat and why he got so unhealthy. He wouldn't even think when he's eating. But yeah, dad might be missing. Trouble with structure, trouble with the opposition with the 6th house of health as well. Just a hedonist, another hedonistic placement. Neptune in the 12th house. I'm wondering if there was some films where he was playing out some kind of sexual fantasy. Neptune is, it governs celluloid. So like film and film stars and 12th house. It's in the planet. This planet is in the house that it rules, actually. And it is sextiled or in a very nice placement with his midheaven. So all these secret desires, like his hedonism, his love for sex, he's very good at visuals too. I feel like he's very good at taking his fantasies and putting them on screen. That's the thing that makes him money with this sextile with the midheaven. He really knew he was one of those people, as evil as he is, he's got his fingers on the pulse of humanity. Like he's really tapped into, and I've seen a lot of his films, he's very tapped into the consciousness of humanity. And that's why he was such a great filmmaker. The man is brilliant. Horrible human being, but a brilliant one. Why does he have Lilith in the 9th house like me? Why? And why is it 20? Why am I sharing all these placements with this horrible man? Scorpio rising, Lilith in the 9th, a sun in the 5th. Thank God they're in different signs, so we're not that similar. But like I said, when you find out that you share placements, a lot of multiple placements with someone, it's like when I looked at Amber Heard's chart, I'm like, no! I have to look at myself clearly now. Chiron in Capricorn, playing into the 3rd house. Oh, no one liked him at school. Girls didn't like him at school. People that are people that have a very hard time at school, I've got Truman Capote's reading just before this one. I talked about that. People that are very awkward and weird and don't make a lot of friends in school, and they very often become, well, not often, but often enough, become very powerful people in their adult years, and then they get greedy and then they behave badly. It's like the victim becomes the villain. Oh. But yeah, brilliant guy. Just disgusting. Anyway, I think that's about it. I think that's it for him. We'll see what happens when he has his nodal return, because currently the North Node is moving through his 6th house over his Aries placements. I'm wondering, I did hear not long ago that there are more lawsuits. I think there's still got a lot of there's still more to come from this man. Anyway, don't you love the film Chicago? Isn't Chicago so good? And you also, I think about it. Think of all the actresses that work with him. Go Google it. Gwyneth Paltrow, Renee Zellweger, Nicole Kidman. There is some footage of this man. The way he's holding Nicole Kidman is so telling. And I'm like, oh man, poor Nicole. No wonder she's weird now. She's probably, when she got away from Tom, I bet she had to run into another lion's den. Anyway. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Please like, subscribe, comment, support me, help me with the algorithm. Please book a reading. Would love to meet you guys. So see you later.